Today on Locked On Rockies, will the Colorado Rockies ever win again?
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 18th day of May in the year 2022. I am your Rockies fan extraordinaire, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Rockies podcast and the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Happy to be your first listen of the day. Now we're rolling. Take two. You can be part of the live chat just like Adrian and Eric are and help me when my mic goes down because we're re-recording this after we tried doing this intro the first time. But subscribe on YouTube so you can follow along with the show and participate in the live chat and get your questions answered live here on Locked On Rockies. Your subscription on YouTube is a massive help as well. So go click that subscribe button and like and share as well. Today on Locked On Rockies, we're talking about needing to light a fire under this team's butt and get something going here. And there's one person in particular that I think needs to do something and step up and I don't necessarily, it's a role that's always confused me, and especially in this sport. And we're going to talk about that. There's also something to celebrate today, so we will talk about something positive. But yes, Adrian, a big shout out to you. You did just save me 30 minutes and a conversation with the heads, the higher ups here at the Locked On Podcast Network, because now we're rocking and rolling with a podcast that should be sounding crisp and clean and good for you Rockies fans. For those that don't know me, I'm Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire. There's my name. You can follow me at Paul Holden 33 here on Twitter. The show is at LO Rockies on Twitter. So, here's the deal. The game yesterday was another example, and I don't want to go down the same route, but I send out a tweet that says the Colorado Rockies, there's no energy to the team. The team responds by putting up 7 runs on the board and coming back and Rendell hitting the long ball and stringing some stuff together. This series against the Giants is, while incredibly still frustrating from the bullpen perspective, you'd feel better about it about the Rockies getting back into these games if they didn't just lose to the Royals and didn't just come off of a terrible road trip. There would be some stuff to focus on, but I will say this team is the uncharacteristic defensive errors, the weird energy and aura that's around the Rockies right now needs to change. And I think the person that needs to head up this change is Bud Black. I don't know what the manager can necessarily do as when it comes to, because you have the pieces, you know what you're going to. I know he can construct the lineup and he says who's going in and when. It hasn't mattered too much who's come out of the bullpen. They've given up runs. So you're kind of questioning where it's like, what can Bud Black do? Bud Black can be a leader. Bud Black can be someone that tries something different. Bud Black can take a different approach to the day-to-day, mix something up, do something different with the clubhouse, address these issues, address these things, and be realistic about this current state of the team and what's going on. This team has plummeted. This team has plummeted from being one of the best teams in baseball to the worst team in baseball over the past now 11 days. It didn't get any better yesterday. So how are you going to lead this team throughout a 162? It's I know the players need to do something, but the players are putting runs in. There's players that are letting people down, sure, but losing those close games, losing the energy. Watching the players kind of hang their head, watching things bounce off and ricochet and go all over the place with the Rockies, something is off with leadership in the way that team is running behind the scenes. Something is weird. Something is not right. And I don't know if Bud Black necessarily has the tools or the abilities to do it because, Adrian, you're right. There needs to be someone on the team, a player that can provide that spark. And it's just not happening. There's players that are performing. There's players that are doing things, but there's not anything that's adding to something behind the scenes. I think while this is a close team, while I think relationships between the the players, I think they know how much they like playing with each other. There's just still something missing. Is it the leadership of someone like Chris Bryant? Is it the fact that the Rockies aren't being led or being having a superstar caliber player trot out onto the field every day? Is that something that because you really start pointing to the Rockies' struggles when Chris Bryant leaves, but is it only it's not just Chris Bryant. But are they missing that? Are they missing that guy that guy that comes to the yard and understanding that he is a face, one of the top faces in the game, a memorable name, a knowable player? Does that add some sort of a spark? Is that what's missing? I don't know, but it's something outside of just. We can talk about, yes, the bullpen needs to improve. Yes, this needs to change. But how are you going to fix the mental state of this team, which is off? What the heck is going on with Ryan McMahon? We were talking Gold Glove. Ryan McMahon has already committed more errors this season than he did the entirety of last season. That's not, something's up there. Is it the pressure? Is it the new contract? Is it the fact that he already knew he was going to be the starting third baseman? He's had a couple of bad breaks on some plays. I get that. But what are we doing? We're throwing the ball into the dugout for an inside the Parker for the Giants? The Giants. A team you absolutely cannot give. You can't even walk the Giants because they will take full advantage of it. Every mistake that the Rockies have made, the Giants have capitalized on it. There has to be an adjustment. Not just from your players, but from your coaching staff. There needs to be this plummet, this terrible performance over the last 10 games needs to be addressed. And it's not just cliche, we're going to get through it. We just need to keep fighting. We trust our guys. Do something different and change the narrative. We talked about changing the narrative. It is something that is incredibly frustrating. It is just so annoying watching the Rockies right now because they're better than this. We've seen that this Rockies team can play at a higher level, even if it's the first season, yes, but it doesn't matter. The Dodgers rolled into town and the Rockies took 2 or 3. Yes, it was the first series, but that should have been the benchmark. That should have been your barometer. That should have been the thing that drives your confidence and makes you feel great. Instead, you're drowning. Your head's not even above water. This game today, you have to stop the skid. You got to end it because how are you going to feel the next time you play San Francisco? 13 straight wins if they lose, or 13 straight losses to the Giants if you lose today? Unacceptable. It's baseball. The baseball gods themselves shouldn't be getting in the way that much. That it shows that there is some part of the game plan, and it's a part of the Rockies' lack of depth that we're already seeing issues with the injuries facing this team. But the approach to playing the Giants needs to change. The approach to this skid needs to change, and something needs to change in that clubhouse. And I think Bud Black needs to be part of. I'm not doing the fire Bud Black because again, the manager is such a weird position, and I think Bud Black's relationship with the pitchers is something. But Bud Black should be getting out there and getting on this bullpen. Enough. Right? At least you have to go up there and you can't just sit there and roll your eyes and just trot them out there. There has to be something on the back end where more film, more technique work, something, because you are the pitching focused manager of this team and your bullpen is killing you right now. Your offense is a snoozer on the road. You're the manager of this team that has some issues. What adjustments are you going to make? Because what the heck happened from April into May, other than, of course, the depth issues and the roster construction that we had hesitations about anyway. But there is still something there that I think Bud Black needs to be doing a better job of getting this team more prepared and being able to get this team in a mindset that they can bounce back and get back into games. Because this homestand, you can't have homestands like this. 3 homestand series losses for the Rockies is a doomsday scenario. And that's what the Rockies are facing because they've already lost 2 of them. And the New York Mets are coming into town, and it's going to be 30 degrees for the weekend. It's going to be miserable, I think, or at least Friday. That's at least what I've heard. Something has to change, and it's not just performance-based. It is, Eric. I think a lack of leadership is missing, and I think maybe it is the lack of Chris Bryant. Maybe it is not someone being. I don't see anyone on that roster necessarily stepping up to be a leader, but it should be Charlie Blackmon right now. Ryan McMahon, I don't know how vocal he is, but he should be stepping up. CJ Cron should be stepping up and saying things. Anyone should be stepping up. Because we've seen this team perform better. We've seen this team do more. How do they get back there? I don't know. I really don't know. In the live chat here, Jeff Terry says, on the bright side, at least we get to see our farm kids come up. Jeff, we're going to talk about that. A lot of roster transactions happened for the Rockies yesterday, so we are going to talk about that. But before we do, I got to tell you about LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs is the place for you to find the network that you need to hire the best person for your job. With spring in the air, it's a time of renewal and growth, personally and professionally. As your small business grows, LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. LinkedIn.com/lockedonmlb. Post your job for free. Take advantage of the world's largest professional network. Terms and conditions apply. The Rockies made a bunch of roster moves this week. As recently as yesterday, we saw them as a comeback as well. We saw one of them yesterday. Justin Lawrence was coming up. But the big news of today, Brian Serven is called up and making his debut today behind the dish for the Colorado Rockies, heading on over to Purple Row. Rockies call up catcher Brian Serven. San Antonio sends Atella to the IL over on Purple Row. The first big move that the Rockies are calling up minor league catcher Brian Serven from AAA Albuquerque, adding him to the 40-man roster. He's expected to make his big league debut today. Yes, and indeed he is, and will fill the role of backup catcher. He's going to wear jersey number 6. Serven was drafted by the Rockies in the 5th round of the 2016 draft out of Arizona State, where he played some outfield in addition to his catching duties. The 27-year-old former Sun Devils has a career line of .245, .318, .429 across 6 seasons of minor league service in the Rockies organization. Let's see. Serven hit .214, .389, .429 with a home run, 3 RBIs, and 14 at-bats during spring training before being assigned to the AAA Albuquerque Isotopes. His performance with the Isotopes so far this season makes him an intriguing option for the scuffling Rockies offense. In 23 games and 77 at-bats with Albuquerque, Serven is hitting .273, .406, .506 with 5 home runs, 3 doubles, and 11 RBIs. He's also showing good plate discipline with 16 walks to 15 strikeouts. Dom Nunez has been optioned to AAA. We know Nunez has been struggling at the dish. He's had a pretty good approach of taking walks, but not really doing enough for the Rockies. So here's hoping Serven can maybe inject something into the lineup. It's an interesting move. It's production. The Rockies have not been getting production from the catcher position this year. Elias Diaz is okay, it seems like, after taking a nasty pitch right there into his knee, something like that. But he is not playing today, but is expected to be okay. Elias Diaz currently 214, 264, 601 line. A couple of hits in his last games. He's gone 2 for his last 11. 2 for last 11 with 3 strikeouts. So maybe Servin can come up and get some offensive production. But Eric, you nailed it. Nunez just can't get on base, and that's just simply not really valuable. It's sub 200 batting average is just not going to do it, especially with the fact that he's hit terribly in his other seasons before, not posting a single season batting average above 200. Dom Nunez's time could be in playing time could be in jeopardy here. Back to it here on Purple Rose. Antonio Senzatella is on the 15-day IL. Justin Lawrence recalled. Senzatella's to the 15-day injured list with a lower back strain, and Senza couldn't get out after 2 innings of work there, but 15 days, that means what is that? 2-3 starts that we will see. The Rockies have some time. His next start didn't come until Sunday, so the Rockies have time to decide who will pitch in his place. Ty Block and Julius Chassin are capable of making spot starts, though the Rockies could also recall Ryan Feltner from AAA. In his corresponding move, right-handed reliever Justin Lawrence has been recalled from AAA Albuquerque. Lawrence has been a solid contributor to the big league club so far, but was optioned for lefty reinforcements to the bullpen on May 8th. He has an ERA of 2.19 over 11 appearances. I know that's not the same, but it's 12 appearances now. But it's good to have Lawrence in there. And good to see that come up. I know he wasn't necessarily the sharpest yesterday. What was his line in his appearance yesterday? Let's see here. 1 inning pitched, 2 earned runs, a walk, 3 hits, and 2 strikeouts. Yeah, I can't be doing that. But again, first thing up, coming back from his first appearance back from the Albuquerque Isotopes, and the bullpen already is in a tough spot. So, folks, I feel deflated. I don't want to run out of steam with the Rockies so far. I don't think you can't shy away from the fact that there's a lot of baseball left, but we just like we talked about in the first segment, when I'm watching the team, I'm just missing something. It's consistency. I don't know if it's not energy is even a tough word, because like I said, the Rockies were down big and then they come back, and that game did not feel 10-7. That was a great home run by Randall. That was a good inning to set things up. Yeah, it's just something is missing. Let's dive in. Let's get some thoughts from some Rockies fans here. Jeff Terry, probably get swept by the Mets after. We could have 100 runs and still lose by 2. Eric Harper says Nunez just couldn't get on base. And Jeff Terry responds, I will replace anyone to get someone who can field the ball well. We are not struggling to hit. We are struggling on defense. It's both, Jeff. I think you've nailed it. The defense is inexcusable, to be totally honest. It really is. This is the Rockies historically, and the players on the Rockies staff, minus Jose Iglesias, who did trend downwards. These are all Rockies defenders that should be good. Now, CJ Cron's getting a little unlucky, but he's also got to nab some of those balls. And these weird misdirections and this weird stuff, there's so much weirdness happens with the Rockies, especially with the Giants in town. But this defense, you can't lead the league by a long shot and turning double plays and also have a pitching staff of a bunch of people that pitch to contact and not have elite defense. That's what's really been a thorn in the side for the Rockies as well. This poor defense, this up and down performances, these plays that need to be made are really killing the Rockies, because it's really brutal late in the game to get a walk from the bullpen, a booted ball, or a missed throw with runners in scoring position, and the Rockies in a situation where you just feel like 3 runs are going to score. And then when they're playing someone like San Francisco, you're like, hey, the 3-run lead, they might as well be up by 100. The defense is honestly something that has to change sooner rather than later. This Rockies team needs to back up their pitching staff, because that's how it's designed, and that's what they've done for so long. I just don't quite understand some of the regression stuff. I mean, it's been so long. I mean, since we've seen uh, bad defensively. Eric Harper says, as a new Rockies fan, you tell me, should we still be married to Charlie? Has his career justified this marriage? Yes, it has. To be totally honest, it has. Does it justify Charlie Blackmon playing in right field every day? Is that can't be that has to change, and that part of Charlie watching Chuck chase those balls all around right field. I'm not saying that he really could have done much as they were ricocheting and pinballing off all the right field wall. It just doesn't look as athletic as we can be out there. And I mean, again, I'm sitting here in my chair making my comments, but that's the idea you can't be married to is Charlie Blackmon. But Charlie Blackmon is a career Rocky, and he has contributed greatly for the Rockies, and he won't go anywhere. I assure you, he unless the team offered a very thing, unless the team hasn't offered unless a really nice incentive for them to trade him. Charlie Blackmon will not only be on the Rockies, he will continue to be in the lineup in one shape or another every day, just about. Chris Bryant coming back will complicate that. Hey, keep sending in your questions, Rockies fans. We are going to take more questions from the live chat here and get us ready for this day baseball game against the Giants, hoping that something good comes from this Rocky series against the Giants. And honestly, this homestand, which has just been absolutely brutal, as a tough stretch for the Rockies continues. But if you're having a tough go of it when it comes to finding a good snack, well, I got the thing for you, and it's Built Bar. Imagine dipping your finger into that plastic tub of birthday cake frosting and then opening your eyes and realizing that it was only 150 calories and 16 grams of protein. That is what it's like to eat a birthday cake puff from Built. I just received my birthday cake puffs. You've seen me eat them. I've never had anything like them before. These Built Bar puff marshmallows, the texture and the consistency is a unique, one-of-a-kind thing, and that's honestly one of the big joys of enjoying the Built Bar. If you haven't tried the puffs, I'll let you in on a little secret because that's what friends do. It's a chocolate-covered marshmallow protein bar. Yep, you heard me. Delicious flavored marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. Make every day your birthday with Built's birthday cake puffs. Built has taken the delicious experience of biting into a fresh slice of birthday cake, robed it in 100% white chocolate, and added sprinkles. Guess what? 150 calories, 16 grams of protein, and 9 grams of sugar. This limited time flavor is an amazing option if you are looking for a healthy way to get flavor and variety in your day. Go to Built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order at Built.com. Adrian in the live chat says, I definitely think it's mental. Ever since Philly, something hasn't been right. Something hasn't been right with the Rockies. And that type of a series is the one that could knock you off your game. Coming back from that needs to be something good teams will bounce back. Good teams will do things that you avoid these stretches. Now, there are some teams that might experience similar stuff what the Rockies are, but the Rockies skid is now getting far too long. But a win today could be the thing that helps you get that streak broken, you win a game at home, and then maybe that carries into momentum against the Mets. You cool them off a little bit with the cool weather. You're at home. It's a struggle for them to breathe up here at the altitude when it's cold. Maybe that's what you do. But Adrian, I think you're on to something there. Since Philly, the Rockies have been a mess. Jeff Terry says, when the weather gets a little bit colder, do you think the Rockies will benefit from that and be more prepared to play in the cold to get a win over the Mets? Or are we just going to lose and be cold? It's a tough question. I think some players are acclimated into playing Colorado, but we've seen German Marquez struggle in cold temperatures, especially to start the beginning of the year. And we will see German Marquez in the series against the Mets. I think the Rockies should be the better equipped team for a cold day at Coors, because like I said, if you can hit the ball around in the yard and you get the Mets sucking air and you make those pitchers work, you couldn't take that's when the altitude and the cold mixture is going to take advantage, because it's cold this weekend, right? It's like snow projected, going to be like 30 degrees cold, and it's what, 80 degrees something today, right? And some yeah, go to the game today for the day game. Should be absolutely beautiful. Yeah, Friday 44 is the high with rain and snow. Saturday snow is the high after being back to back 80-degree days. You know what, people always say this at everything about wacky weather, but Colorado always will take the cake for me. So Jeff, I'm not necessarily sure what that means. What cold? I think the cold weather isn't necessarily a benefit for the Rockies, no, but I think that they could be in a position to take advantage of being in their own ballpark because of it. They're a little more familiar, know how to stay warm, know what it's like. A lot of those players, we talk about Charlie Blackmon, of course, Charlie Blackmon, Ryan McMahon, some people that have played in cold weather. Even the thing that I'm worried about is an injured Chris Bryant coming back into a cold weather environment and tweaking something in cold weather. That's something that could happen as well. But I don't necessarily know if it's going to give the Rockies a overall advantage. They're gonna need any advantage they can get, but it's gonna have to start today when the Rockies try to salvage at least one game from the Giants today. And its first pitch is at 12:10 today. The Rockies now 2 games below 500. The big news of today: Brian Serven making his MLB debut. Very exciting. I shouldn't have sighed like that. That should be cause for a celebration, just for a guy getting a shot. Always cool for the prospects to get a chance to come up and make an impact at the major league level. And what better way to do it than come into a series where the Rockies desperately need a boost, and maybe you provide that little offensive boost that knocks the skid against the Giants. That's going to be that could be the secret. Adrian says, I think with a talented team like this, you definitely have to start looking at management. Look, like the Giants, they have good players, but they don't have crazy names like Arenado and Story that stick out. That's right. We talked about it with Ben Kaspick of Locked On Giants. They have a lineup of Connor Joes, and they're really good at what they do. They lead statistical categories across baseball, and they do it quietly. And they are going to be a threat again. Because here's the deal. Yes, you can be. It's frustrating, but the Giants are just a better team. The Giants are really good again, and that sucks. Yes, but it is something. The Rockies gotta need to be the Giants. Man, that is the way the Rockies need to be run. Is the way the Giants are. I swear, that's the secret. Bunch of hit for contact people, bunch of people that can get on base. And then guess what? You'll all hit home runs, and you'll lead the league in home runs, and you can't name 4 people on the Giants roster, especially this year. Eric Harper says, does the 1-year extension for Bud make a change unlikely? I would be shocked if the Rockies move on from Bud Black before the contract is up. I just don't think. I highly doubt that. He's arguably the most success, depending on what you want to look at it. Him and Clint Hurdle are the 2 most successful names in terms of managers for the Rockies. I highly doubt that. 8 years didn't matter for Nolan Arenado. Yes, that's true, but different story there. Momford a little more loyal to his front office people than the players sometimes. On the bump today, the Rockies have Kyle Freeland. Logan Webb is the matchup here. Logan Webb's got that 3.48 ERA, 1.33 whip. He is one of the Giants pitchers that has a little bit of the higher numbers. So this should be an opportunity for the Rockies to go out and hopefully still put a bunch of runs up on the board. The Rockies have been scoring a lot at home. Just the bullpen needs to do him some favors and close out a game. Shut the door. That first game, that Daniel Bard 2-out pitch is stinging even more now as we head into this game 3. Folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you all so much for joining us and for joining in on the live chat. Adrian, Eric, Jeff, who else did we have in here? I'm sure we had some more people, but thank you all so much for popping into the live chat. If you want to be part of the show, subscribe to Locked On Rockies on YouTube so you can pop in and ask your Rockies questions. Follow us on Twitter at LO Rockies. Listen to us wherever you have your podcast service. And, go out and listen to the Locked On MLB and Locked On Now podcast for your second listen of the day. Stay up to date with the world of sports with Locked On Now and the world of Major League Baseball with the Walking Baseball Encyclopedia. Paul Francis Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully. That's what you got to call him, though. And also, Colorado sports. Avalanche, big win. Go Avs, go. Locked On Avalanche breaking down this postseason run for you all, as well as getting ready for the Russell Wilson-led Broncos with Locked On Broncos. And what's next for the Nuggets and back-to-back MVP Nikola Jokic. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.